We got our Hawks up, man. Let's go. Come on, Seattle. Give me something good. Give me. Come on. Zabol's not bad at this point. You know, if you're picking Zabel and you got Kenneth Grant and Michael Williams on the board, but when you're picking Zabel and you've seen this first round play out like it's played so far, there's a little bit more. Boy, they don't look super excited about the first round pick here. Looks like the pick is in. No trading back. No smiles, no celebration. They just showed the Hawk War Room and everybody was kind of looked pretty subdued. So no trade. The pick is in. Oh, with the 2025 first round pick at number 18 overall, to the surprise of nobody, the Seattle Seahawks have selected Grey Zabol, guard/center from North Dakota State. This is the guy that so many people were connecting so late into this process. And even just right before this pick, I was saying, when you look at the board and you look at the available names that are sitting there that you can go and that you can go select, makes a lot of sense as to why you come back around to a guy like Grey Zabol here, because you don't have any real blue chip guy that's fallen down here in the first round to your pick, some guy that the NFL has let slip through the cracks. This was a guy that was going to be a very safe player in what you were going to get from him. He's going to be a starter in this league. He should be an above average starter in this league, whether he's playing at guard or whether he's playing at center. Yeah, he's coming from somewhat of a smaller college here, which is a little bit of a factor at play. But this small college in particular has been producing some offensive linemen recently. Even Cody Mock last year, who had a pretty good year there in his first rookie season. So it's starting to become a little bit more of a, I'm not going to say a conveyor belt to the NFL as far as for offensive linemen, but we have a little bit of a recent past history of this. And so this isn't a guy that you're taking as a real big flyer from some small school who's played against small level competition who gives you a whole lot of nothing. It's not the case with him at all. And a guy that was playing a lot of his time there at North Dakota out there at tackle, and so he's going to kick inside. This is what you get a lot of within the scheme is guys that have played tackle at college who then go into guard or then go into center. But it stands out that he's got a real high floor here in what you're going to get. I've compared him to last year's Graham Barton, kind of a similar kind of player to me, where you're getting this guy, you don't know if it's guard, you don't know if it's center, but you just have a real strong feeling that this guy with his power, with his strength, he's got big oven mid hands, good enough length for the inside in there, really strong power, can move in space. That's why you like those tackle converts to guards within this offensive system, is because you get the mobility that you typically can't tend to find with guards naturally. A guy like Booker, who went to the Cowboys in the first round of this draft, wouldn't have that kind of movement that you need to make this scheme fully run. And you don't want to limit down your scheme just because you like a player so much. You want to be able to run the scheme fully. And you're going to be able to do that with Zabel, whether you march him in there at guard or whether you put him in there at center. I don't know if you've got some huge upside to this guy that's just massive, but you do have a really, really solid floor to him. And he should be a guy who walks in and is a day one starter for you, either at guard or at center. This is also then going to free up John to go through the rest of this draft and to be able to really pick for value, because at the very least, you've taken care of guard, probably minimum, probably center. You're going to go back and get a offensive line in addition to this, but now you're not going and grabbing a guy here to where now you get into second, third round, and you're really now definitely reaching for need, where there's no two ways about it. There's no doubt about it. Is this one maybe a little bit of a reach? Well, I mean, maybe it depends on who you ask. Many of the draft pundits and analysts, as we were coming up into this draft, were projecting Zabel to go actually ahead of Seahawks in some of these final mock drafts. So we could also say that this is when it's all said and done and you go through all of the draft evaluation process, right about the right landing space for where Grey Zabol should go. If you didn't pick him here, probably goes within the next 5 picks. So you're not really reaching heavily at this spot. And you might have had to have reached much more heavily if you had waited on into the second round to address this offensive line. So Seahawks fans, you wanted your offensive line fixed. You wanted them to get this rebuilt. You wanted it to stop being this worst part of the team that just sinks the whole ship almost every year here, season after season after season. Well, this is a mighty step in the right direction towards accomplishing that. This guy, like I say, may not give you the sparkling upside where he's just going to be a baller, no two ways about it, but he certainly should not be a guy that there's a huge amount of bust rate factor with him either. He's going to come in, he's going to start, and he's going to give you much better play at the position than you've had here recently for years. You have to go back quite a bit of time to go find a guy who's as talented, as good as Zabel can project out to be, even with, like I would say, not a limited upside, but just not as much of the high upside you might tend to see in the first round of a draft. But he's got more of an upside than even a guy like a Damian Lewis, who was once taken in the third round, to kind of give you a historical perspective on this. So As talented as an interior offensive lineman as we've had here in a while, a guy that should be a pretty safe pick, a guy that I know is not going to make a lot of Hawk fans necessarily jump up and clap and scream and whistle, but this is a meat and potatoes pick that helps to take what is your weakest positional group on your whole football team and strengthen it up. Maybe, God forbid, even turn this offensive line group into a strength of the team in the long term. Let me know what you guys think, though. Love to see what you guys think on this pick and see where you guys are at with it. They could have messed this up. I look at that pick and go, well, there's a lot of other ways to go and mess that pick up, to get this pick wrong, to go a sideways direction, taking Jalen Milroe. No, don't do that. Going Jackson Dart. No, don't do that. So I was more, as we approached this pick, more of it being about being enticed by the snazzy guy that you were going to land with this selection. To me, because of the way the first round played out with the guys that went, it was more about, okay, avoid the pratfall here. Don't do the Arizona Cardinal pratfall into the Walter Nolan. Don't do the Cincinnati Bengal pratfall into the Shamar Stewart. Don't make the mistake. Be one of those teams that come out of this first round where you're nodding your head and you're going, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. That's a great fit. That's going to work. And the Hawks have done that here with this pick, in my opinion.